This is Damon Dash, and this is the Dash Diabetes Network. I might not be a doctor, but I'm definitely in a doctor's state of mind. You know, everyone has, I guess, their own methods of juggling their diabetes. And I thought that it would be interesting to have some conversation from different diabetics on how they manage their diabetes. Now, if you introduce yourself, please.
How you doing? I'm Tom.
Tom.
Danford.
Okay, what do you do?
I'm an entrepreneur, own a couple businesses. Type 1 diabetic for 34 years.
Introduce yourself, Ron.
Yeah, I'm Ron James. I'm a video producer, do a little bit of internet TV shows, and you and I are doing a couple shows together.
Can you explain how we know each other?
Yeah, we met. You actually booked my studio, and we shot the Dame Dash show down in Hawthorne, and that was when we met. And then we did a pretty good interview right after the first shoot. It's got a lot of attention.
What I noticed about your method, the way you were approaching your business was it was forward. You were making your own content and you were making apps so that people could have a direct consumer or direct to consumer relationship and give them the information direct.
Yeah, I mean, you and I actually had a lot in common with what we were doing, and our philosophy was in alignment too. Is, you know, put the power of independent media distribution back in the hands of the creators and bypass the middleman altogether. And you know, that's why we're still working together, I think, is because we really believe in a lot of the same things. And I think we're both in agreement that society and human civilization is moving in a direction that is unsustainable.
And there's something else that we have in common. We're both diabetic.
We're both diabetic.
So as a diabetic, what's your method?
Well, you know, I was diagnosed with type 2, but I'd already had it for 2 or 3 years. So by the time I actually got an official diagnosis, I already had numbness in my toes. And the doctor said, you know, you're not even going to be a candidate for metformin treatment. You're going to have to go straight on insulin. So they put me on 2 types of insulin and metformin. And, you know, it's a real juggling game. Especially,
Well, so are you type 2 or type 1?
I'm a type 2, but I'm being treated like a type 1.
So you have to go through the same exact process as a type 1?
Yeah, I have to do the insulin shot 3 times a day, and then I have to do the...
Take a shot 3 times a day?
Sometimes 4.
A structured 3 times a day?
No, right before you eat.
Right before you eat?
Yeah. And then you got to take the long-acting insulin at night before you go to sleep. So it's, you know, 4 to 5 injections a day and 4 or 5 testings a day. And I'm still not as on top of it as I'd like to be.
Are you using do you still use the little bottles?
Still use the little bottles.
Use the little dope fiend needle?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so do you test your blood?
Right, I tested right before I came in here, so.
What was your blood when you came in?
It was 189.
189? Did you know if it was going up or down?
It was going down, so I had some candy just to keep it level.
How'd you know it was going to go down from 180?
Because I could feel it.
You could feel it?
You can feel when you're crashing.
Sometimes.
I've noticed a set of symptoms that seem to correlate with it being high, and I definitely can tell when I'm going down.
How come? Because that's a pretty, like, an old school way of doing it, the dope fiend needle and the, you know.
You know, it's interesting because so much of this new technology that's coming out, I've got good insurance, and I still can't get them to pay for any of this stuff. They won't pay for the Dexcom. They haven't agreed to pay for some of this new stuff like the inhalable insulin.
So is that the
They
reason
give you the
why
vials.
you do the method, just because you can't get it past your insurance?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, a lot of people are in that position. You know, if you have an extra $1,000 a month that you can throw at your diabetes on top of your health insurance costs, that's great, but a lot of people don't.
What he was talking about, I did all that before. When I was probably first 5 years of being diabetic.
Like 30 years ago,
5,
that was the
10
method,
years.
the dope fiend needle.
I was big dope fiend back
That was
then.
you're doing the 30-year-old
Yeah.
method. Now, what I meant to ask you was, what's your A1?
The last time I got it tested, it was 7.9. The doctor went through the roof. He said I got to keep it under 6.5.
Why?
That's just the numbers she told me to stay at.
You're
I heard
seven-
you say earlier you
you're
were
seven-
hitting 10.
You're 7'9",
I was 7.9 last time.
with
She
the
made-
dope fiend needle?
Yeah, and I was actually thinking that I was doing better, so I quit taking the metformin.
Okay.
So she made me go back on that.
But you know what? It's almost not fair because you're also type 2. I thought you were type 1. And what's your A1?
6'4".
A 6'4"?
6'4".
God damn.
That's pretty
But I was on a pump for years. This was back in the day too, when it was long lasting and NPH. So I would take 2 blasts a day. That was it, right?
Right.
In 1993, more information and things started changing, more education. So it was more aggressive therapy. So I was up to now 5, 6, sometimes 7 shots a day, just testing my blood sugars. I was a Division I athlete, so I was always constantly monitoring what I was doing. But still, I was chasing numbers.
And what's your method
I take.
now? This is your method now.
This is my method. So I have the Dexcom to tell me what my sugars are.
That's what I do.
I take Afrezza.
So you do the inhaler.
I do the inhaler, absolutely, and I will take a long lasting before I go to bed.
So you found that over the 30 years, going from the needle, the syringe, you did the pen as well?
Yep.
And then doing the
pump.
pump.
Yep.
That the Afrezza has been the one that's the best for you?
Afrezza's the one that's got my. I've never had a 6 A1C since
Yeah.
before I was diagnosed in 1982.
Yeah. See, the crazy thing is with me is, despite like all these years that I've been diabetic, and my blood sugar's going, you know, it's usually like 9, 10, whatever. You know, I go to the doctor, not all the time. Sometimes I'll take a year off, 6 months. But at the end of the day, they always tell me the same exact thing. You know, this what could happen if you don't.
Until they don't.
Pardon?
Until they don't tell you that. When I was first diagnosed, they called it a hidden disease. And
Definitely a hidden disease.
being diabetic for 32 years, that's when the first glimpse of, okay, here's when it starts. I know it's a leading cause of blindness if you're not taking care of things. You know, you got amputations, you have kidney, you have heart. I mean, the list goes on. And it's been my information that once you start getting them, here it goes.
Oh, that's what happened.
You know what I mean?
Oh, you can see it early. If you see something later, that's when it's harder to stop. So if you're monitoring yourself, or if you see a cut that's not right, you know, it's different when your shit is green and you got a hole, you know, you did, all right, what do you expect to happen? You know, you neglected it. But if you pay attention, it's like, to me, diabetes, you just have to pay attention.
Well, and how many times have people not known you were diabetic? I mean, you're in pretty good shape. Someone's like, you're diabetic?
Yeah, all the
Like, we
time.
don't fit the mold of a typical diabetic, right?
Well, what you might think of a diabetic.
Exactly.
To be all right, you have to kind of take care of yourself. So like working out is a big part of being diabetic, and healing, you don't heal as fast. Like,
If you're not taking care of yourself, absolutely.
you know, I'm a person that likes to box and do all these kind of things, and my shoulders are shot. Like, I gotta ice them shits every day and take ibuprofen. It's like a job for Rocky to take care of my shoulders. In the moment, I'm gonna do whatever I need to do with physical activity, but later on, I suffer. All right, well, I have some more questions. So when we come back, you know, I just wanna ask, I'm trying to have a little more of an understanding. And we'll be back with deep conversation from diabetics. If you want to learn more about being a diabetic and being cool while you're diabetic and the lifestyle of a diabetic, check out the Dash Diabetes Network. Holla back.
I'm amazed. I didn't know anything like this existed.
I like it.
I like this idea.
We showed people with diabetes something they'd never seen before. Inhaled insulin.
It's inhaled. Now, I would consider this.
I could inhale it.
And you said you inhale it? It's neat. It's really neat.
I like the design. It's very fascinating.
I don't know. I don't have the right words for this.
I'm going to talk to my doctor. I'm going to find out if this is something that's for me. And if it is, we're going to make some changes.
Insulin you inhale. Ask your doctor if Afrezza is right for you. Go to Afrezza.com to learn more.